So, hello, everyone. I'm Ryan Randall with the ITRC, Instructional Technology Resource Center. And today, this Wednesday webinar will be about selecting accessible images and media. And joining me today are Kim Tompkinson and Mark Cooper. So today, what we will be discussing, we'll talk about why it's important to select accessible images and media. We'll talk a little bit about the design aspects of what we mean when we say accessible. Kim's going to talk about Creative Commons, about how you can find images that are legal for you to reuse. And Mark's going to tell us a bit about accessibility considerations, and then we'll have a Q&A. So that's a preview of very soon coming attractions for today's session. So why would you want to use accessible images and media? Using images improves the experience for all of your learners, and using ones that you know are accessible goes even further than that. That helps you make content perceptible for all of your learners. If you make sure that you've chosen images that convey their content in a way that's likely to be perceived by all learners, then that makes it so the images are doing the job of engaging students and helping improve the experience. And as I was saying, images help reinforce the concepts that you're describing in other forms. So it helps increase engagement for your learners. It helps give the concepts something more concrete to attach themselves to. So, what are some of the design aspects you might want to think about when you're thinking about accessible design? So, first of all, you want to think about image quality. Is it large enough and not pixelated enough that your learners can actually see the details that you want them to see and perceive what you want them to? You also want to think about color contrast and legibility. So, color contrast, I found an image here that I would hope be somewhat illustrative of this idea, but color contrast is a little bit more about if you can actually see the foreground from the background. So here, all the text on this slide is black or very nearly black, and the background is white. If it were a very sort of middle color, like a light green on a medium green, some people would be able to see the difference there, but not all of your learners would be able to. So that would be very low color contrast. It's best to avoid that whenever possible when you're choosing images, if it has text or other things that you want your students to be able to read. Also, make sure that if there are details that are conveyed in the image, that you're not conveying them in a way that won't be discernible by people with color differences in color vision. So if people can't see green or blue or red, those are some of the examples on the right of how those people would experience the image, as opposed to in the top left of this image is the normal color vision. When you're choosing the images or other media, if you're choosing media like podcasts or videos, it's best to choose ones that come with closed captions and transcripts. Many things that originate in public broadcasting already come with those. Many, not all, but many in other open forums will come with those. But it's good to go ahead if you have the choice between one where you'll be having to make the captions yourself or making a transcript yourself or selecting one where that's already has been made. Definitely save yourself the time by choosing one if the content's otherwise equally appropriate for your learners. Choose the one where somebody's already done the work of making those aspects of accessibility for you. Also, make sure to consider the purpose of why you're including the image in the first place, because that helps you know that you're choosing the appropriate image to convey the idea, and it will also help you figure out how you'll describe it in alt text for those of your learners who need assistive technologies. And finally, when you go to add the image into whatever platform you're using, there's often a feature that's called something like add image or add media. If you do that, it will let you actually add the alt text. So here on the left, this is what you might be familiar with from in Google Docs. Here on the right, add media. This is what it looks like if you're looking at ISU Pressbooks. Using either of these will let you add the image in the best version possible visually, and it will also give you a interface to add the alt text as well. So up next, Kim will tell us more about image search and licensing.
Thanks, Ryan. So first of all, there are several repositories that you will find online where you can locate images and other media that you may want to use in instruction, in materials, or in courses. And the important aspect of this is to look for the Creative Commons license, because that allows you to redistribute and usually remix, reuse, modify, and share out. And Creative Commons, the website for Creative Commons, has a really great search engine that we'll look at in just a minute, where you can find media and images and other content. But before we look at that, I just want to talk a little bit about the difference between open and free. So free means that there's no required cost to access materials. It does not mean that users may also reuse, modify, or share the materials. So when a resource is open, as opposed to being free, users know that they can reuse and share resources widely so long as they abide by the terms of the creator. So what we are always looking for is for open source materials, not necessarily free materials. And we'll look at the differences between the two when it comes to searching for images specifically. So now we're going to take a little look at an active search that has been pre-recorded here in this video. So Ryan, if you'll go ahead and start that video playing, I'm just going to talk through this process. So what you see here is the Creative Commons search site, and I put Bengal Tiger in, and then Openverse is the first search engine there that I have selected. And you'll see that it's come up with some options for tigers. And on the right, you can filter by license type, by whether it can be used commercially or not, and just to filter through your options. And then as you scroll through, you'll see that near the bottom, you generally have the option to see more results. And you can exhaust that list until there are no more results left if you want to, if you still are looking for an image. But once you've selected one, pay close attention to the license that has been assigned. And here you can see that it shows us the Creative Commons license. And if you select that link, it will explain what you can do with this image based on its license. So this helps for people, especially that are new to Creative Commons, to know what the permissions look like. And then when you're ready to download the image, you select it. And if you scroll a little further, you'll also see again that there's more information to access there, commentary, etc. And the license type is listed. So then you can download the image and use it according to what the license allows. And then next, if you select a different search engine with the same term that you've been searching before, it will open up an additional one. So this is Google Images, and in Google Images, you want to be careful because it's collecting from several repositories. So you want to make sure that you're selecting something that's truly open. And this comes from Wikimedia, where you can download and then scroll down a little further to see the license type there, the lower left. And then on the right side of it, you see the description of what the permissions are associated with that license. And then Flickr is another one here in Creative Commons where you can search for images, and the same rules will apply, where you locate the image that you want, and then you see which license type it has associated with it, and use that image based on the way the license permissions are set for it. Next, we're going to look at, now here, this is still in Flickr, and you can see there that if you scroll down a little bit, you find some more additional information, but also the license type and the license history. So collecting all of this information is helpful for users to see what the image has gone through, basically. But here again is the description of what's allowed. Then when you want to search online and maybe you go to Pexels, which is what this website is, you can locate an image and select it. And these are free images, but they're not openly licensed, which means that you may not have the permission to redistribute and to reuse these or modify them in any way. So we have to be very careful about how we use images that are not open. But you can look at what is allowed and what isn't allowed right here on Pexel's website. And you can see that there's more things that are allowed than are not allowed. And then here on Pixabay, it follows the same structure and licensing permissions that Pexels does. You'll notice that it looks very similar. So this is an image of a lion, and you can expand and see information about the image itself. And when I was looking through Pixabay, I had to poke around a little bit to find where the licensing information was. And first I chose the drop down there at the top right and did not find it there. But shortly after that, I looked there at the left side of the screen in tiny letters that you can access licensing information. And as it opens, you'll notice that the Pixabay licensing, this is the long list of terms and conditions. But if you click on the summary of the license, the content license summary, you'll notice it looks very similar to Pexels. So again, Creative Commons is a great place to look. It's a safe place to look because they have openly licensed materials there. So that's what we would recommend starting with, although it is not the only place that you can find openly licensed material. And everywhere you look, you're going to find information about what the licenses allow for. And here, as it scrolls a little bit, it will show briefly the different licenses that are attached to open source materials. And it gives a little more information along with that little icon there that shows the actual license. So this is informational for you to share out with other people and to use licensed materials in the way that is appropriate. And next, we're going to have Mark tell us a little bit about accessibility considerations.
Thank you, Kim. Some things to consider with accessibility are, first of all, the ISU Electronic Information Technology Accessibility Policy. And this policy is put out by the Electronic Information Technology Accessibility Committee. And the policy governs accessibility for websites, instructional materials, documents, electronic media, software, hardware systems. All of those are under the policy, as well as procurement of any equipment or software dealing with accessibility. So that's the first thing. And then, there we go. Some other considerations that you want to consider are WCAG, and WCAG stands for Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, and this is an organization that puts out a website that has some standards. And with image accessibility, this is under level AA, and AA level signifies a higher level of accessibility compliance compared to single A. Meeting WCAG AA standards means that the website provides a more inclusive experience to the user and addresses a broad range of accessibility requirements. And so this topic on selecting accessible images applies to WCAG standards 2.0, success criteria 1.1.1, and WCAG 2.1, success criteria 1.1.1 as well. And so these criteria require that non-text content, such as images, have text alternatives that serve the same purpose and convey the same information as the non-text content. And this ensures that the individuals who cannot see the images can understand the content or the function through alternative means. And if you want to learn more about WCAG standards, you can go to their website, which is www.w3.org, and W3 is the organization. There's also some considerations for accessibility within the Quality Matters 7th edition rubric. And if you're familiar with it, it's a set of standards used by Quality Matters to evaluate the quality of online and blended courses. And the General Standard 8 talks about accessibility and usability. It emphasizes that course materials and activities and assessments are designed to be accessible to all learners. 3 specific review standards apply to our topic today, and that is Specific Review Standard 8.4, which covers images in the course to ensure that they're accessible, specific review standard 8.5, which is video and audio content in the course is accessible, specifically any complex images that you may have in your course or diagrams used in a video, to make sure that they have accurate captions or alt text. And finally, specific review standard 8.6. And this is multimedia in the course is easy to use. And specifically, this review standard is in related to our topic, images on the first page of a course module or a section, to ensure that they do not take up the entire screen and are able to scale for a smaller screen. So those are the accessibility considerations to consider when you are selecting accessible images in media. So if you'd like to learn more about accessibility and any other topics related to educational technology or what we talk about in the ITRC, you can simply scan the QR code here. I also put a link in the chat. So we have Tiger Tracks, which are the Tiger Tracks are our step-by-step guides on how to use a variety of educational technology that we support at the university. And then we have a library of our Wednesday webinars. So every Wednesday we do a Wednesday webinar, and we record those and edit those and put those up on our library. And we also have some accessibility resources that are on the ITRC website. If you'd like to meet with one of us, you can simply do so by emailing us. You can give us a call. You can visit us in person in the University Library, lower level on the Pocatello campus. And you can make an on-demand appointment, and we're happy to meet with you either by Zoom, over the phone, or in person if we can. Finally, please be on the lookout for our future Wednesday webinars, and we put those in the Idaho State Today. You can look at the ISU events calendar, where we also have our future Wednesday webinars. And then a full schedule is available on the ITRC website. You can access those just by clicking the links on the screen. And we'd like to thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you have a great day.